Now, I don't think this is going to happen, but I'm certainly intrigued by the idea because I think Jrue Holiday, Sixers legend, by the way, would be an awesome addition to this basketball team. Bleacher Report posed a blockbuster James Harden for Jrue Holiday trade. We're talking about that on 76ers Now, and we're answering questions from some of our loyal subscribers. So Bleacher Report put together this article of some blockbuster trades that could happen in the NBA leading up to the 2023-2024 season. And here is the deal from Bleacher Report here. The Sixers would receive Jrue Holiday and a 2024 second-round pick, and then going to Milwaukee to get paired up with Giannis as well as Khris Middleton is James Harden. Now, I think it's kind of crazy that Bleacher Report has the Bucks including a second-round pick to take on James Harden. I would do this deal immediately, just straight up, but Bleacher Report, they have other ideas. Here's what they had to say on that Harden-Holiday swap. If the Bucks learned anything from their injury-riddled season last year, it's that their offense might need a little buffing. They wound up a forgettable 15th in offensive efficiency, or 10 spots back of where their title team landed in 2020-2021. Maybe a healthy Khris Middleton is all they need to get back on track, but are they sure about that? Bumping Middleton down to the third option and slotting in the beard in between him and Giannis could have folks fearing the deer again. Harden-Antetokounmpo pick and rolls could be unstoppable. Middleton-Antetokounmpo pick and rolls would be too if Harden was brought in to an off-ball role. So I think there are some fair points there, right? From a basketball standpoint. And remember, the Jrue Holiday trade, which took place 10 years ago this week, actually kick-started the process. They traded him away, they drafted Michael Carter-Williams, and Sam Hinkie started to put his imprint on the Sixers organization. But from a basketball standpoint here, right, James Harden is really good in the two-man game. Pick and pop, pick and roll. You pair him with Giannis, who's probably a better pick and roll player than Joel Embiid, doesn't have the mid-range game on the pick and pop that Embiid has. It would be a combination that other teams certainly fear across the NBA. Here's the thing, though. I would rather have Jrue Holiday over James Harden at this point because I think he's a better fit on the Sixers team and certainly a better defensive player and better leader. So pick a point guard that you would rather have on the Sixers this upcoming year. Type Harden or type Jrue. We are taking your feedback down below in the comment section. As always, you can join that conversation. As for what Holiday has done in his last 4 years, again, not the scorer that Harden is, not the distributor and rebounder that Harden is. Better two-way player overall, though. There's certainly an argument to be had. And Jrue Holiday, kind of a slow-developing player. When he was playing with the Sixers, they drafted him in the first round out of UCLA, had a couple of good moments, certainly didn't develop into a borderline superstar and future all-star that he's become. And over his last 4 years, he's kind of hovered around 17 to 19 points per game. He is a pretty good assist man, just not to the level of James Harden. Not a bad rebounder by any stretch of the imagination. And he's added a three-point shot to his game as compared to when he was playing for Philly, 38%, 41+, 39%, and 35% over the last 4 years. He also doesn't shy away from the big moment like we've seen James Harden do in so many playoff games. Jrue Holiday, ladies and gentlemen, is an NBA champion, and he has an NBA champion type of mindset where he's fearless. He's not afraid to take the big shot. He makes winning basketball plays, and he would never give up in a big Game 7 like James Harden did on the road, TD Garden, pressure cooker against the Boston Celtics. Harden, on the other hand, is not an NBA champion. So I would do this deal. I really would. I just don't think Milwaukee, in any scenario, would actually make that trade. Your questions coming up here around the corner, but first, this is your home for year-round Sixers coverage. We are approaching 12,000 subscribers, so hit that sub button right now. Eagles Guru with the $5 donation. Wendy said that Morey has something up his sleeve. The best two guesses as to what that is. Now, we were talking about this during our live show. If we want to go bold, I'm saying Zach LaVine trade for Tobias Harris and some other pieces. And then Rolly was talking about Pascal Siakam. Both moves I would like, and both moves I think improves this club. Lion Fighter also with the $5 super chat. Real one, roll call. Who would you prefer, Zach LaVine or Pascal Siakam, and why? I'm going LaVine. He's not the defensive player that Siakam is. He is, though, the better offensive player. Siakam is somewhat limited. While he has developed a three-point shot, his numbers the last few years have kind of dipped, whereas LaVine last three hasn't shot below 37.5% from three-point range. LaVine is a walking 20 to 30 points per game guy every single night, whereas Siakam, you have to live with some of the highs and lows. Boombastic. Harden still wants out. Maxey is the long-term point guard. Who can we really get to replace James Harden at that 2 spot? So yeah, Maxey hasn't really played a lot of point. He is capable of playing the point. Even at Kentucky, he played primarily off ball. So that is a role where he'd have to get a little bit more comfortable in operating the offense, and he'd have to improve his passing ability a little bit. At that 2 spot, I think a guy like Norm Powell could be a realistic trade acquisition for Philadelphia if that trade of Harden to the Clippers, which has had a lot of momentum and buzz, ends up happening. But here's my prediction, Boombastic. I actually think James Harden comes back. He runs the point. Maxey at the 2. Tommy Velasquez, we need to build a strong bench. Let's take a look at that roster court, Rolly, to look at the Sixers team. A couple of days ago, even last week, I was saying, like, this Sixers bench is not good at all. Let's just say that the Sixers run it back here. This would be their current lineup. Harden as the point, Maxey as the 2, PJ Tucker for his defense stays at the 4, Toby is your wing, and Joel Embiid, your anchor, as your great and elite two-way player. Your bench is a little bit better than it was just a few days ago. Like Patrick Beverley, solid point guard. If he ends up hitting more three-pointers, that deal on the vet min could be a steal. I was very happy with them bringing back Paul Reed, even though 3 years, $23 million is a lot for him. He's going to have to develop to live up to that price tag. But in today's NBA, some of these deals are stupid. Like Dylan Brooks is making $20 million per. You have DeAnthony Melton and Daniel House as well. Daniel House showed me a lot in that series against Boston. Jane Springer having a solid summer league. The offensive game is going to have to get a little bit better. Montrezl Harrell signing never made sense to me. I think he's so far cooked. I want to see if the Sixers can either let go of or try to trade Furkan Korkmaz to a team that is looking for a shooter. Korkmaz in the final year of his deal, that gives him $5 million annually. Mo Bamba, I actually like him as a backup to Joel Embiid if he can be more consistent. Most importantly, though, stay healthy. Stupid athlete who can hit the 3. And then Philip Petrusev. Nick Nurse said on the Tyrese Maxey podcast that Petrusev is going to make the team. We'll see if he wasn't going tongue-in-cheek with that one. Grade the Sixers roster right now. We take the question, then we break it down. It's on the NBA 2K meter, 1 to 100. Ryan Rowe, big supporter of what I do here on 76ers Now and on Eagles Now. Could we see Terquavion Smith playing alongside Tyrese Maxey? Look, if Turk Smith is starting games and getting a lot of minutes night in and night out, I think that would be a little bit of an issue. Now, the realistic question here, Ryan Rowe, is he going to make the opening night roster? Will he be a part of this bench unit? Maybe not getting many minutes, 5-10 minutes per game to start. He's a little bit slight, but he certainly has the athletic explosion to succeed at the NBA level. His efficiency was a problem at NC State. There were nights where he would go off for 20-plus points. There were other nights in which he would have a clunker and be 5 of 15. So far in the Summer League, he's right around 37, 38% from 3 with a lot of range as well. I'm rooting for him to make this team as a young developmental piece who's also very affordable, which only helps your team-building strategy moving ahead into the future. Walter Miller, one of our biggest real ones here on the show. Why is Korkmaz still on the team when he's also asked about a trade request before the deadline last year? The reason they didn't trade him, no value for him. They weren't going to get anything back. I actually thought during that Hawks series 3 years ago now, Korkmaz was hitting some big shots. They were using him as the DHO man on those dribble handoffs, and he was hitting some threes internationally. He's played pretty good for the homeland, but he's been way too inconsistent in the last 2 years. I think he's suffered from a lack of confidence. I'm with you, though. I think he's a trade candidate, or maybe he's a cut candidate as we approach the season. $5 million per, they could certainly use that money right now and I like the deal at the time. I will certainly eat the crow on that. G-Man, if we were to trade James Harden and Tobias Harris for Damian Lillard, do you think that would work out? I don't think it would work out at all, because if you're the Portland Trailblazers, they want to trade Dame to kickstart this rebuild with some of the young assets that they have on that team. Scoot Henderson, I think, is going to be a star in this league. Anthony Simons can give you 20 points per game. I like Shaedon Sharpe. They have a decent roster with some young pieces. You're not going to take on Tobias Harris on an expiring deal and James Harden on an expiring deal, especially when Harden, the marquee player in that deal, is 34 years old, and you're trading Dame because you have this admission that you're not competing this year. You're not going to compete this year with James Harden either. Philly John Wick, elite username, by the way. On a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are we to trade anyone? I say 3 or 4. I would say somewhat low. Daryl Morey, he did say, or he tweeted out a picture of himself in front of that crumble cookie and saying, hey, Tobias, no casuals here. Like, if he says that and then trades him away, kind of is a bad look on Daryl Morey's part. And then James Harden, I think that relationship is going to be able to be repaired between the Beard and Morey. Both of them return. The Sixers run it back. And then maybe at the NBA trade deadline, that's when they could make a move with the hyperactive and aggressive Daryl Morey. Before we dip on out of here for this segment, interact with me, Twitter, Instagram, if you want some Sixers takes, at Chase_Senior on both of those platforms here. It's been great to get to know all of you. I want to get to know more of you. So say what's up in the DMs here.